Hi, this is Sherry with Happy Gut for Life, and my SCD hack for today is making your own pumpkin puree using your Instant Pot. It's pretty easy to do. All you need is your Instant Pot, the trivet that it came with, or another trivet, and a pumpkin. So you're going to use one of the little pie pumpkins, probably about 2 to 2.5 pounds. All you need to do is put in a cup of water, then your trivet, and then you just set your pumpkin right on top of that. And you have to make sure there's going to be room for the lid to close. You don't need to like poke any holes or anything in there. You just put the pumpkin in as is. If your pumpkin has a very tall stem, you're probably going to have to pop that off of there. This one's pretty short and the lid does fit on there, so I can just leave it as is and put the lid on. Then just make sure that you have your valve set to sealing, and then we are just going to put it on regular pressure cook for 15 minutes. The pumpkin is done in the Instant Pot, so I've been letting it natural release for a little over 10 minutes. You can do 10 to 15 minutes, and then you can do the quick release, which it's almost done anyway. You can see that it almost no steam came out, so that is ready. Now we are just going to open it up and see if it is done. Okay, so there it is. Okay, so it is very soft. It's definitely done. So I'm going to take it out. I'm going to let it cool off a little bit before we peel it and get all the seeds and stuff out. Getting stuff in and out of your Instant Pot can be a little tricky, but I got these little gloves that just fit over your thumb and your fingers, so it's a little easier to grab stuff. Because the big oven mitts, they're very bulky and it's hard to get stuff out, but you just use these, you can grab stuff a lot easier. Now we're just going to cut the pumpkin open so we can remove the skin and the seeds and the little stringy inside. So I had let the pumpkin cool off probably for about a half hour. It's still warm, but it's not too hot to work with. As we know, we're dealing with squash. This is the worst part. But we can pull this out of here. So I don't usually save the seeds. I don't really like pumpkin seeds, but you can definitely do that if you want to. Okay, so I've got almost all of this scraped out. Scraping is, I mean, even though there's a lot here, there's it's a lot easier to scrape out seeds and the insides of a squash once it's cooked. So that is why I like to do the pumpkin in the Instant Pot. You can also do spaghetti squash. Or pretty much any kind of squash the exact same way, and it's a lot easier than having to cut the squash open when it's raw and then trying to scrape out everything when it's hard and uncooked. So this is soft, and it's pretty easy to scrape everything out of here. So the next thing I'm going to do is just get all the squash out and into the bowl of my food processor. You can also use a blender for this, but I'm using the food processor just because it's a little bigger. If you are just going to use pumpkin to make soup, you don't have to puree it. You can just use it as is. But I'm going to make this so I have it on hand so I can store it. As you can see, the skin kind of just peels off. It's kind of sloppy, but you can just use your fingers to get everything apart. And it's pretty easy to do. I have my cooked pumpkin separated from the skin and in my food processor. So the last step is just to puree it. It's been pureeing for just, under a minute. So if it's not quite the consistency you want, you can add a little water, but you don't want to do too much because you don't want it to be watery. So I'm just going to add a tablespoon of water to this and then let it blend some more. And there is the puree after it's been blending for about 3 minutes total. I did about a minute, then I added water. And then I did it for 2 to 3 minutes after that. So 3 to 4 minutes total. You'll get a nice, good pureed consistency. You can use it right away for pie or muffins or soup or whatever. If you want to have pureed for soup, or like I said, you can leave it in the big chunks for that too. So it is all ready to go. You can store it in the refrigerator for a few days, or in the freezer for longer. If you're not going to use it right away. And here is my finished pumpkin puree. So that pumpkin, which was about 2 pounds, maybe a little more, between 2 and 2.5 made. This is a pint-sized jar, so it's all the way full. And then I have probably about half a cup or so in another container. Store this in the refrigerator for a few days if you're not going to use it right away. Of course, it's best if you're going to make a pie or bread or something right away, because it tastes the best because it's fresh. But you can store it for a few days in the fridge, or you can freeze it, which is also a great thing to do, to have on hand. So if I was going to freeze it, I would break it down into 1 cup increments, or maybe even half cup, so that I know I can just take out what I need from the freezer. And that is my SCD hack for making your own pureed pumpkin. You can find all of my SCD recipes at happygutforlife.com. And to keep up with all of my videos, be sure to subscribe.